What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. No, the title of this video is not clickbait. It's more of an analogy. So before everybody jumps down my throat about the title, no, Justin Trudeau is not back, but we essentially have Trudeau 2.0 running the country. And as things wind down for the summer, as we finish out the dog days of summer and head into the fall, things are going to heat up in the House of Commons. We have Pierre poilievre running his by-election right now. Again, we all know he's going to win that by-election. He'll be back in the House of Commons in the fall. But when he gets in, I think is when we're going to start to see some things heating up. Mark Carney has had a bit of a honeymoon period over the summer. And as things are heating up, I think his numbers and his approval ratings are going to start to drop. I think that with Pierre back in the House, things are going to change. I'm going to show some reasons as to why people might have a little bit of hope reinstated as we head back into the fall, especially for Canada, because right now, let's be honest, there's not a lot of positive things happening. So let's focus on that. First off, before we get into that, I want to show you where I found today's news, where I got a hold of today's stories for you guys. And I want to talk about a product that I use to find my stories called Ground News. The media used to be trusted, and most people used to be on the same page or at least be able to respectfully disagree. So what went wrong? Well, to answer that, let me know if this sounds familiar. You're scrolling through social media and you see a news story with this rather inflammatory caption. The story seems important, but you're not familiar with the source or how credible it is. You then skim through the comment section quickly to find it's no help to you, and you leave more confused than you were before and give up not knowing what to trust. Instead, let's read the story on Ground News, a website and app developed to give readers an easier way to be well informed without the chaos as a news comparison platform. They gather articles from every source reporting on a given story so that you can compare coverage and see which angles get emphasized or ignored, helping you see every side of every story. And that's why for each news outlet, they show important context, like the political bias of a news source, how reliable their reporting is, and who owns them. This approach allows to create the bias bar, which shows if any story is receiving balanced coverage from left, center, and right-leaning sources, or if the coverage skews toward one particular side. The blind spot feed lets you take back control, showing you stories from both the left and right so you can walk a mile in someone else's news and adopt a more balanced news diet. And unlike many news sites, they don't run ads, so they're not concerned with keeping you glued to their website with clickbait and selling your time to the highest bidder. Instead, they ask readers to subscribe to support their work to get unlimited access to features like the blind spot, feed ownership, info factuality ratings, and more. So join their community of well-informed subscribers from across the world and the political spectrum and get 40% off unlimited access to the best features with Advantage subscriptions. Then you can navigate whatever comes next with confidence that you're seeing the full story for every story. Visit the link in the description or on screen during the video to claim your discount. Now just remember, folks, head over to groundnews.com/fringe. Get your 40% off. It's a fantastic program. Again, amazing site. I don't sponsor companies that I don't believe in, and I use them. I actually reached out to them. They've been very kind to this channel and decided to extend our contracts because I believe in the product so much. So please head over, sign up for Ground News. That way you guys can find news that isn't tied to sources that you have to question. With that, let's move on to today's information. Let's talk about where all of these claims are coming from. I want to start with Ryan Garretson. Fantastic X account. Again, go and follow Ryan Garretson. I recommend him every time I have him on the channel. Points out, again, this is where we've got Trudeau 2.0. The article I found from Ground News will be our final piece to this puzzle, so stick around for that. Ryan Garretson says, the guy who claims we are in the worst crisis in history takes a second vacation within a month. Sound like anybody familiar? I imagine if it was his job on the line in the future of his home, his livelihood, and children that were at stake, he would be doing whatever he could right now to secure a deal. But no, Canadians can wait. So, of course, you see, while remaining in the National Capital Region and surrounding area, the Prime Minister will be on reduced schedule in the week of August 11th to reflect a brief period of local vacation. Do you guys remember Canada Day when he was asked about the deadline for Trump's tariffs? And he says, well, I'm not going to work today. Can I just maybe take a couple days off here, folks? I mean, I just got here. The guy only worked in the House of Commons for 17 days before taking vacation. Now, here's a second one going on over the summer. Media advisors will be distributed should any public events arise during the time. I mean, this guy doesn't care about his job. He's here just to bleed the country dry and pad his pockets. In fact, Brookfield's stocks have been soaring since Mark Carney became prime minister. You even have Pierre Poilievre, who's running his by-election campaign, pointing out the obvious. Again, this is just writing on the wall in comparison to that Justin Trudeau has never left. Mark Carney was Justin Trudeau, advising him pro bono, of course, that he made sure to point out. We've had Mark Carney as prime minister for years, just with Justin Trudeau being the talking puppet. Prime Minister Mark Carney has done a lot of big talks on resource projects, but so far has proposed no new oil pipelines and plans to keep all the same liberal laws that keep our wealth in the ground. That's why energy companies are moving money south, another elbows down grift by Mark Carney. Of course, you can see down here the Globe and Mail citing an article with better opportunities emerging south of the border. Here's how investors should handle Canada's pipeline giants. So we're going to see this happen. Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful himself, has said it already. There's no investment in Canada. That's why people are flocking to the United States if they're so privileged to do so. You've also got Pierre mentioning food prices are rising faster in Canada than the United States as Carney Liberals continue to drive up the costs with inflationary spending and high taxes. We're going to get to that in the Ground News article. Carney's economy, jobless youth, high prices, food banks lines are up as employment soars to 14.6% for the youth this summer. Again, we're going to cover some stories that show that, again, the obvious, that if you're white in this country, if you're not DEI, you don't get hired anywhere, especially once those from other countries are in management. We have to show Richard Diaz pointing out as well, Canada's unemployment rate continues to fall, now sitting at a 26-year low. Public sector employment is at a 30-year high. The federal tax take as a percentage of GDP is at a 20-year high, and our tax base is being hollowed out. This is not going to end well. You can see the charts right there. This is where I'm saying Justin Trudeau's back. He's never left because it was Mark Carney all along. It wasn't Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau was nothing more than a puppet. We all knew that. It's going to continue, and it's going to get worse. And this is where I think things are going to heat up again in the fall when we get back to the House of Commons. Take a look at the Clown Broadcasting Corporation's latest article. Again, found this through Ground News. Again, groundnews.com/fringe. Get your 40% off. Carney and Zelensky speak ahead of Trump-Putin summit in Alaska. The Prime Minister says decisions on the future of Ukraine must be made by Ukrainians. Of course, with Canada's money backing it up, right? Prime Minister Carney and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky spoke on the phone Monday, reaffirming their agreement that Ukraine must be a party to any discussions about a possible end of the war in the country. Here's the thing, if Zelensky would allow an election in his country, this would all come to an end. That's the distraction that everybody's not focused on here, is that, well, we got to help Ukraine. We got to keep pumping in money. That's what the grifters and the fart huffers are saying. The prostitutes, the propaganda arms of the government. What they're not focused on is Zelensky hasn't allowed elections in his country. And if the people had a choice, they would vote their way out of this war in 2 seconds. Speaking in advance on a Friday meeting in Alaska between President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, Carney and Zelensky welcomed Trump's leadership in working towards a lasting peace for Ukraine. The two leaders underscored that decisions of the future of Ukraine must be made by Ukrainians, which Trump won't have. International borders cannot be changed by force. The statement also said Ukraine's allies must continue to keep pressure on Russia to end its aggression. So don't talk about peace. Just keep putting on pressure. Keep focusing all of that pressure to keep the things going so that we can continue laundering money over there. Trump announced in social media posts on Friday that he would be meeting with Putin in Alaska on August 15th. So again, later this week. Russia, which launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, now holds nearly a fifth of the country. Zelensky could attend the second meeting, says Donald Trump. I'm grateful for Canada's support for Ukraine and our people, Zelensky said in a social media post after speaking with Carney. We agreed that no decisions concerning Ukraine's future and the security of our people can be made without Ukraine's participation. Zelensky expressed skepticism that Putin genuinely intends to end his invasion of Ukraine, saying it's obvious the Russians simply want to buy time. Trump told a White House news conference Monday and Friday this meeting with Putin will be a feel-out meeting, to gauge whether Russian president is really willing to make a deal. So I'm going to speak to Vladimir Putin, or should we do that as Trump? Let's say we haven't done the Trump in a while. So I'm going to speak to Vladimir Putin, and I'm going to be telling him, you've got to end this war. You got to end it now. Tell Mark Carney to stop throwing his money overseas. Stop sending your equipment. Go get a lollipop, maybe. Go to Uganda for your holiday. I know people like Trump. There's the few that say stop it, but there's a majority of you guys that have a laugh at that, so I don't mind doing it. I don't mind indulging once in a while. Trump also said a future meeting between himself and Putin could include Zelensky. He said he would speak to European leaders soon after his talks with Putin, and that his goal was a speedy ceasefire in the bloody conflict. It's not for Canada. Mark Carney wants to keep pushing money into it. This is Trudeau again, all over again. So for anybody who supports the Liberals, who says, oh, it's a fresh coat of paint, it's Justin Trudeau's gone, things are going to get better. No, they're not. They're never going to get better. This is the landscape we're heading into in the fall. Again, this is where I think that things will heat up. I think Mark Carney's numbers are really going to start to plummet because those who voted for him are going to start to get buyer's remorse. No deals will get done. No projects have been announced. Pierre will be putting the pressure on in the House of Commons. So hopefully we can start to see his approval numbers rising up while Carney's are lowering, especially once the hypocrisy's pointed out. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you think we're going to start to see a little bit of a balance out than we've seen with the Liberals gaining steam over the summer as we head into the fall? Do you think that Trudeau has never technically left, that it was Mark Carney all along? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If it's your first time here, boy, I sure hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure as you hit that button, you click the thumbs up, leave a comment on the way out. It helps push this video out past censorship, especially when we're talking about Ukraine and all these other things. It tells people, hey, this is worth checking out. Share it out on your social media posts, folks, and join me here live now twice a week on the channel every Wednesday and Friday. Wednesdays for Unhinged Fringe, Fridays for Friday Night Fringe, as I'm joined by a plethora of new co-hosts, as well as Mrs. Fringe on Friday nights, to talk about everything that happened this week in politics, everything we know coming up in the weeks ahead, as well as your Q&A within the greatest YouTube community on the platform. I always look forward to chatting with you guys outside of making these videos and hearing what you have to say. I most importantly look forward to hearing what you have to say tonight and every Wednesday and Friday night, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.